Welcome to In Focus. I'm your host, Yesenia Taveras, and we have the awesome pleasure right now to interview the illustrators of Daddy Longlegs and the Inchworm. And we really don't know who they are right now. It's kind of a mysterious type of, They're here now joining us, and we have a duo right now. So can you guys introduce yourselves and let us know who you are behind the mask?
All right. Daddy Longlegs, this is the Inchworm.
Hi.
And outside of it,
Demitrius
Bullock.
And I'm Bryce Bullock, and we're a father and son duo.
Awesome. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
I think this is a phenomenal duo here. You have the support of your father, and you're actually showing your son the way of following your dreams.
Yes.
The two of you are illustrators of now the 4th edition.
Going to be the 4th.
Yeah,
Yep,
there's going to be 4 editions.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about how did this all start between the two of you guys? What happened here?
How I came up with the comic was me and my mom and my dad were inside the bathroom, and then my dad said, "Hey, I want to become a superhero." And then I said, "Yeah, you could become a superhero. You could be named Daddy Longlegs, and I could be named the Inchworm." That's kind of how it all got started. But then, like a couple months later, we were at like this graduation ceremony thing at like this
Conrad School of Science.
Yeah, at this middle school that my dad used to work at. And then there was this one lady. I asked her, "Hey, can I have like paper and pencil?" And then I started writing the comic. And then it took like the rest of that day and like the morning of the other day or the next day, and then I gave it to my dad and said, "Hey, can you like redraw this and turn it into like a comic?" And then he said, "No, I like your art. I'm gonna keep it like that." And then he like colored the comic. And then he sent it to my mom, and then my mom, did her alchemy and turned it into this.
This is amazing. Yes, so let's show and share. We have the first 3 editions here. And let's talk a little bit about Demetrius. So you made his idea come to fruition.
Yes.
You saw your son drawing, and you said to yourself, you know what, we have something here. I think we should go ahead and pursue it. So you brought your skills to the table, and you went ahead, and it's just flown. I mean, you're with Scholastic now. Let's talk a little bit about the beginning process, though, as an illustrator.
Okay. The beginning process as an illustrator. We would have to, I guess, going through the process of thinking of the story. My son, he would think of the stories and how he would go about putting them together. He researches it. After he illustrates it, he would pass it along to me, where I would add the colors to the books.
Yes. Sometimes I have like backgrounds.
And the backgrounds, depending, because you want to give a little background to the characters.
That's right.
For me, I mean, this is a long process, hours up, being able to create bring his vision to life. And with this, let's see, we try to keep it where it's very colorful. We like it where it's very colorful, something that's very eye-catching for the youth. He provides me with a lot of good content and stories in order to create the illusion of what you see as far as the characters.
And I was going to say, he writes all of this here. This is his writing.
Yeah, that's all his writing. Mm-hmm. All of his writing, the concept, the character creations, all of his.
And now, when did your love for comics begin? Both of you.
So for me, wait, no, I'll let Daddy go first.
For me, it started at an early age. I mean, maybe around about my son's age, around about 10 years old. I used to watch cartoons on television, and then when I found out that there was actual comic books that I can actually read pertaining to the superheroes I saw, I would go to this corner store in the Bronx, and I would, it was a corner store that used to hang comic books from the ceiling, and every Friday the new issue would come out, and I'd be excited to get the latest issue, and I'd bring it down, and I would practice drawing from a lot of the past artists of that time. They used to draw for Marvel and DC in order to perfect my own craft. And I just had a love for the story, the content, how they put it together, the dramatics of it, everything that brings a comic to life. I love it.
And for you, Bryce?
So it was when I was around about like 7 or 8. We went to this Comic-Con, like my first ever Comic-Con.
They're big.
And I used to like love Spider-Man. I still do to this day. But at the Comic-Con, like I saw like all these superheroes walking around, and then I saw like the comic books for like Spider-Man and Batman and Superman, like all different superheroes. And then I just like loved it. It was like a child going into like a toy store. That's how excited I was to see all the comic books, and then yeah.
And you actually read the comic books, and now you're your own illustrator, your own writer. And one thing that you mentioned before when I spoke to you is that a major point for you was you wanted to be the face of the person who you usually don't see writing comic books. Share a little bit with us about your thought.
So when I used to see comic books, or like you would only see like Caucasian superheroes, and I was like, well, I don't see any superheroes that look like me, so I decided to create my own. And some of them starting with like Daddy Longlegs and the Inchworm, for example.
Yes, so it's not only just Spider-Man now that they've had, who was half African-American, half Puerto Rican. Now we actually have Daddy Longlegs and the Inchworm. So that's amazing. And so now, I mean, you must be so proud as a father who started this with your love for comic books. And I just can't believe, like, one day you're just sitting there and this comes up to fruition now. And not only that, he's his own owner of Pankake Images.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
So one day, like we were at like this show for my dad, and he was like selling like his paintings and things.
Okay.
And he had his own business cards and giving them out. And I wanted to make my own business cards too, and so I had my notebook, and I started like ripping pieces out, and then I started writing my own business cards and handing them out. And that was the lead of the start to Pankake Images. And then one day my dad was in like the basement working, and then I thought about making my own company. So I came up to my mom and I was like, hey, I want to make a company, and it would be called Pankake Images. So we went to her computer, and then we started like typing up, doing some magic, and then we made the business cards.
That's a great way of illustrating it.
And then we made the business cards for Pankake Images, and then we were passing it around around our neighborhood, and yeah.
And that's because you love pancakes, right?
Yeah.
So now you're able to put the two and two together. That's amazing. And Demetrius, take us back to when he was 5 years old, when he actually started all this.
Yeah. He started us on this whole journey of creating books. At 5 years old, he came to my mother and I just with an idea. He said, I'd like to make a book. And, as a parent, as we heard it, we said, okay. All right, well, let's make a book, son. And he had his idea of a story called The Hungry Kid. It's a picture book where it's just a story of a young boy who just wanted to find something to eat.
Okay.
And my wife and I, we went around and took pictures of him, different scenes and what he wanted to tell the story. And that was the beginning. We were just going to make it as a picture album, just something that he can have personally. And then my wife thought of the idea. She said, well, what if we actually got this published for him? And she researched, and that's where she found an online self-publishing company. At the time, it was called Create Space, but now it's called KDP Publishing. And where you pretty much upload your images, and you're able to print on demand for independent artists. And we got the book published, and I reached out to his school, and I spoke to the principal, and I said, look, Bryce, he went and he created a book, and my wife and I wanted to know if we could come by and read to the students, and it turns out that she was like, it was a dead silence for a moment, and then she said, why don't we do a book signing? And she was so excited. She said, we never had anything like that a 5-year-old came up with an idea for a story, and she contacted someone from WDEL, and they came out and did an interview, and it was a really nice book signing, his first book signing ever.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
and
that
now,
started it.
And I was going to say, not only did you have a book signing, but you've been featured in Scholastic. I know the Scholastic book fairs for us at home. I have an 8-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son, and we're always purchasing books from there, right? Because it's like quarterly. They always put these in the book bags, go ahead and pick your favorite books. My daughter loves to read. She probably picks about 5 of them all the time. I'm easily spending like $30 or more in the Scholastics. But tell us about the experience of having your comic book as an option now, and where has that taken you?
It feels amazing to have my own comic book, and where it's taken us was like to be able to like share with the world and like my ideas, like for example putting them in libraries, talking to children, like how to get your own comic book made, and like what you need to do it, like and yeah.
That's amazing. And your outlook, Demetrius?
Yeah, I mean, it's been absolutely amazing. Scholastic, who also, they were at the time they were looking for some content around about February, and they happened to come across an article on us, and they went and they checked us out, and they saw all of these different things that about all that we've done as a father and son team, all of the events that we've done, and they reached out to his school and asked could they speak to us and interview us. But since the actual Scholastic interview, I mean, our comic is going nationwide. We have children that we've seen, teachers have reached out to us and actually sent us images of students watching a video of him drawing the actual inchworm, kind of like a little tutorial for the children in Utah. We've had it in, where else was it? Chicago, a couple of places, California.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're traveling.
Yes, yeah.
And not only that, even here locally, you got to speak to a couple students
Absolutely.
from Coomba.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Tell us about that experience.
Oh, man.
It was just like awesome. Like all the children were like so excited, and like they had like so many awesome questions.
Yeah.
And they just loved it, and so did we.
Yeah.
It was an amazing experience.
Yeah, that was held at the Community Education Building.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yes,
And it's so hard not to get emotional, right? Because it's like you really see this father-son duo. You guys are doing so great. You're selling a lot of these comic books, and it's not really about, it's more just than the financial gain that you get from this. It's the actual relationship that the two of you are building. And one can say here in the city of Wilmington, with a lot of the crime that's going on, you are from New York, the Bronx, you know how it is growing up in a city. Crime is everywhere.
Absolutely.
And most people tend to say that stereotypically African-American young men who don't have their fathers in their lives can kind of curve that way. So let's talk about this dynamic duo that the two of you have, and what are the benefits you've been able to gain from it? Like, how important is it to have this encouragement?
Well, to have the encouragement from my father is just like a big influence to help me create the comic books in general. Like without him, like, and without my mom, I probably wouldn't be doing this now.
That's amazing. What's your outlook as a father? Because I'm just wondering how many fathers are looking at you right now and could be wishing, man, if I was there for my child, or actually saying I'm there for my child and I can do a little bit more now because I'm seeing this. It's different when you can actually hold it as opposed to just dream about it.
Well, as far as the encouragement part, this young man is, I mean, it was just in him. That definitely, he didn't need the encouragement. It's like we once we saw it, we just supported him and pushed it, and then it took off from there. But as far as the outlets, I'm sorry, give me that question one more time.
So your outlook as a father, there's some fathers out here who are absentees,
Yes.
and there are fathers who are also involved,
Yes.
But might not know which course to take when their child presents them with an idea. And here you're actually showing them that
Definitely.
you can go ahead and push your child to that path.
Yeah. Again, back to the encouragement. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to see it all come to life, especially one who loved comics as well. The support in order to help him put his stuff together. I mean, it's watching it unfold. It's a awesome feeling. It's an awesome feeling, and I say to fathers, you know, be supportive of your young men. Me growing up without one, I definitely had some good support figures in my life that kept me on that road. Being here, able to be here with my son, and keep him along that path of being able to see his future unfold is just, it's an amazing feeling.
It is very amazing, and like you said, it's very crucial for one who wants to continue on in their dreams. I mean, I can't say that this is going to stop. I mean, you're already at 4 editions now. Take us to that process. Why do you keep going? And tell us about the superheroes too.
So the reason why we keep going is just to make people happy, and you know, to show that like there can be like even though you might not want to or be scared to like do it, you can do it, because I'm 10 years old and I'm doing this. People at Comic Cons, people are in their 20s or 40s, and I would never be able to do that. So it's just to keep people happy and to give them a boost of inspiration. But yeah.
And how about you as an illustrator?
Well, we want to see a story be told. At 4, once he got the first issue done, it was like, wow. Showed it to him. I said, wow, son, see, this is possible. He went on to write the second story, and then it's become, wait a minute, this is really happening. The third story, it was a collaboration of both of us on that one, and we just keep it fun, watching it unfold, and we're pushing to push out 10 issues. 10 issues in total, yeah. So it's a story to be told within the dynamics of the father and son team.
And we have the 4th edition behind you. When is that coming out?
This will be out in a couple of months.
Okay. And so tell us a little bit about the actual superheroes. What are their powers, and how did you come about it? It looks like Daddy Longlegs and the Inchworm. So tell us a little bit about that.
So Daddy Longlegs, his powers, he doesn't have much at all. So what he can do is stretch his legs really, really far to unknown heights or lengths, and they're really strong. But for the Inchworm, he's able to duplicate that he shows in the bonus issue and the 3rd issue. He's able to shrink that he does in the 1st issue, turn into a stick, an unbreakable stick.
Okay.
In the 1st issue as well. He's able to climb up walls with his stomach, as he does in the 3rd issue, and he's super strong.
And
bunch of powers.
Bunch of powers. And then you took this to a whole nother level. As we saw in the beginning of our show here, you guys have your own costumes. Mm-hmm. So now you've added another layer to the actual comic books, kind of like any other one, like we see with Spider-Man. So talk to us about this process. How did you go into actually creating the costume, making it match your comic books? Tell us a little bit about this process. And how important is it to have your own costume?
Oh, you can do that.
I can do that? Okay. Well, as we were getting the comic book published, again, like I said, I was a big, huge fan of comic books. I just thought, wow, it'd be an awesome idea if we had an actual costume. And I reached out online through Instagram, trying to see if we could find someone that can actually put together a costume. And during one of his play visits with a neighbor friend of ours, we went over to his house, and my wife and I, and we happened to go down in their basement. It turns out that the mother, she has a whole seamstress shop downstairs, and she actually creates designs for these small dresses for the Big Eye dolls. I forgot what the name of them were.
Okay.
They're discontinued. But as I looked around, I was like, wow, have you ever done, a costume before? And she said she's never done anything at, life-size scale, but she wanted to take on the project. Once we showed her the images and the costumes and the concept behind the story, she was like, I want to take it on. And I mean, she did an excellent job. She brought it to life for us.
That's amazing. And so what's next for the two of you?
So we want to make like a TV show, animation. Keep going with the comic, obviously, and then maybe even bring it to the big screen.
Oh, that is amazing. I like those big dreams. And you can actually, I always tell people, you can always start out with YouTube. I mean, there's so many gamers on there talking about games and where to go. There's people who have their own shows on there. You don't really need a TV station to have your own network, and you have a whole bunch of followers. I mean, I can only imagine where this is going to go here.
Thank you.
And before we leave, what would you like to share with our viewers in regards to just pursuing their dreams? Any advice, encouragement?
Never be afraid to do something that's positive and if people don't like it, but if it's a positive thing, then keep going with it, because you might make it big one day.
Stay encouraged. Dream big. Work hard. Believe me, it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort to create your dream, and no matter how silly the idea may seem, or just push for it. If you believe in it, the believers will follow.
Awesome. Well,
Definitely.
thank you so much to you and your wife
Thank you.
for showing the product of what happens when a whole entire family comes together to really
Thank
push
you.
a child's dream. Thank you so much for showing us
Can I
that.
say something?
Sure.
Oh, two locations we're going to be at. We're going to be at the comic book shop May 4th,
Okay.
which is on Marsh Road in Wilmington, and Bryce is up for a Glyph Rising Star Award at the ECBAC Comic Book Convention, which is going to be held in Philly, May 18th.
Oh,
So,
congratulations.
Rising Star.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to be rooting for you.
Thank
you.
you.
That is great. And I know only more will come. This is only the beginning of the journey.
Okay.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. And on behalf of all of us here at WITN 22, we'd like to say thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Yesenia Taveras.